All right, we are interrupting and going to some big breaking news which is coming in. It's a big victory for India. Sanjay Bhandari to be extradited to India. The UK Special Court has announced verdict on the accused middleman Sanjay Bhandari. Fugitive arms agent Sanjay Bhandari allegedly received payments worth about 400 crore rupees from foreign companies in connection with weapons. There were deals that were conducted during UPA regime. Records from the transactions conducted in several firms in Dubai have revealed. So that's the word really coming in, that a UK court has given this very important judgment. Extradition remains a kind of a process where you require the approval of the court as well as the government concerned. So this is a big judgment coming in. It's a big win for India. Sanjay Bhandari will be extradited. The UK Special Court has announced this verdict on the accused. Now he is a middleman. He's been involved allegedly in multiple arms deal running into about 400 crore rupees. He allegedly received payments worth about 400 crore rupees from foreign companies. This is in connection with the weapons. These deals were conducted during the UPA regime. A lot of them remain under investigation right now, and this person is an important link to that. Sanjay Suri with us on the broadcast. Sanjay, tell us about this crucial order.
Well, this order is along unexpected lines. At his previous appearance in the court at Westminster, the magistrate had asked him whether he is willing to be extradited to India or whether he is going to resist that. And he said he refuses the extradition and that he will contest it. And he indicated that he will be preparing his legal defense in order to contest extradition. Sorry. Now, this new order appears to have come after an extent of negotiations between him and officials in the government. We have been getting indications that there have been some talks underway and there has been some agreement reached apparently, following which we now have this from the court. The order was not physically announced in court. It was remotely handed down to the party.
Sanjay, Ashish Maharshi, our colleague, is also with us. But before I go to Ashish, if I understand correctly, for an extradition process to go through, there is also an approval from the Home Ministry concerned in UK that needs to be taken. So are all those clearances in place? Because you say there's a kind of a tacit understanding that has been reached.
Well, all those processes have not been completed. If, of course, there's an understanding, then and if Bhandari were not to contest the order, then that understanding would not need to be reached. But if not, then whatever the order, there would be, in the first instance, a need for the British Home Office to actually pass the order. An order from the court is not an executive order, it is a direction, and for the government then to act on it. And other than that, which is sort of routine, he would have recourse to an appeal in the High Court.
He'd have a recourse to appeal in the High Court, but if there's a tacit understanding, you will not need those kind of details. I'm cutting across to my colleague Ashish Maharshi as well. Ashish, first, can you tell us a little bit more about Sanjay Bhandari, the kind of arms deal he's allegedly involved into? And is there any kind of tacit understanding that he has reached with the authorities, or he's likely to appeal to a higher court?
So, it's a very lengthy thing, but to cut things short, the information started when there was an income tax raid on Sanjay Bhandari. I remember, it was a few years back when income tax raided, and then they found certain mails which actually led to the PS of Robert Vadra, and ultimately it was found that this man Sanjay Bhandari was very closely associated with Robert Vadra, the son-in-law of Sonia Gandhi. And since then, investigation started, and it was found that this man basically was owner of he and his wife were owner of around 13 companies, which were majorly into offsets of defense deals. And it was found that, this man, there was certain kickbacks that were reaching in his hands related to certain defense deals. CBI finally booked him. If you remember, there was a Pilatus deal of certain trainer aircrafts into the Air Force. And in that, it was found that he was taking kickbacks. And then there was another case of Official Secrets Act that was registered by Delhi police, because when, the income tax found that there are certain official secret documents that was in his possession, then they had no other option but to register a complaint. And finally, the Delhi police registered an Official Secrets Act case against him. Finally, he escaped out of India. What we have been told is he took the Nepal route route, and maybe on a fake passport he finally reached London. In London, obviously we all know, because most of these people, especially the economic fugitives, they have been taking refuge into London because of the laws have been such. We know Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, many others have taken refuge under various laws of the United Kingdom. But finally, the Enforcement Directorate, they did their homework. They went to the court there. They gave every detail. They finally filed a charge sheet against him. The charge sheet spoke volumes about the transactions that he has been making. And obviously he was wanted in India. And finally, the court has given the judgment that he can be extradited. But then we all know that getting somebody from London is a Herculean task. We know that people have taken refuge of law there, and getting them in India is a Herculean task. But certainly, it's a big victory for the Enforcement Directorate.
So, Sanjay, coming back to you, should we take it as a conclusive position that he's going to be extradited? Or there are still details that need to emerge out in terms of the tacit understanding, or whether he decides to appeal to a higher court?
I think we can take this as final necessarily. The other courses of appeal by way of the High Court, presentation first to the Home Office, quite other than the extradition path, the path of asylum that was used by Vijay Mallya. And whatever happens in the extradition court and whatever that process, parallel option of asylum, and at least and gaining time could mean gaining a lot of time, if not gaining time indefinitely. Option as well. Have to watch steps to wait before we conclude that this is final.
Okay, so those are the possible options which are available to him. And as Ashish Maheshwari was also pointing out, that though we have an extradition treaty with the United Kingdom, the process is a judicial/executive process, can be a long, lengthy procedure because of the local laws that exist there and the kind of laws that exist on economic offenders or people who take refuge in law. I'm coming back to Ashish Maheshwari, who's with us on the broadcast. Ashish, you pointed out the entire genesis of the case, how here courts in India have, called him a person who's wanted in some very, very high-profile matters, about 400 crore rupees he allegedly received as kickbacks, and there are multiple charges which are, which have to be proven against him, investigated against him, and his presence in India is really required. Tell us about what do we know in terms of the understanding that Sanjay is repeatedly pointing out that may have been reached between the Indian agencies and Sanjay Bhandari. Is there some kind of understanding that has been reached?
So, too early to comment, reason being because this was expected. Obviously, we have a new Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, and, we can expect some sort of help from there. But, it will be too early to comment because this judgment was ought to come. The Enforcement Directorate had given all the details. There is no doubt about it. I've been following this case for quite some time. I've been in touch with officers in the Enforcement Directorate, and they told me, a few months back that they're expecting a judgment. Senior officers from Enforcement Directorate traveled to London to give all the details to the court, and it was basically it was voluminous in data that was submitted to the court. The voluminous data spoke about how the kickbacks were reaching. In fact, if you remember, there was certain money which was actually leading to a house in London, which was basically alleged that it belonged to Robert Wadrall. So, the allegations are still being probed. So, there are certain data, there are certain evidence which was submitted to the court. The court took cognizance of the matter, but obviously